Howdy folks, welcome back to Boondockery. Today I'm at the 3rd annual Central Ohio Bushcraft Gathering at Kirkmont Center in Zanesfield, Ohio. If there's any aspects of this event whatsoever that could possibly be considered negative, it's the highway sound. 4-lane route, State Route 33 is about 1.5 miles, 2 miles away from our camp. We're on the downhill side of a ridge and the 4-lane is elevated. There's absolutely nothing I'm going to be able to do about it. It's that way 24/7. But I'm not letting it bother me because I have earplugs for night and I've got nature all around me and good conversation all day. I am glamping it up and loving it. I'm going to show you around camp and then I'm going to get me some breakfast. I'm just going to take you a quick walk around my camp and let's see how I got things set up. And I am really glamping it this weekend. I'm not feeling guilty about it one iota either. This is it. And of course, there's no possible way I could have carried all of this in a backpack. As a matter of fact, I have several backpacks, but I've got my Light Fighter 1 on a cot, and it's very luxurious. Absolutely the most comfortable I've probably ever slept in the woods. I have a camp chair, and look, it's a table. Can you believe it? It's a table, and I don't have to cook on the ground. I decided to use my Trangia 27 cook set. It did fantastic. I have an adapter for a regular propane bottle that will adapt the isobutane attachment to that, and I'll talk more about that later. And of course, I've got a cooler for my food. That is my change of clothes and everything. I've got my camera equipment down here. Of course, a bushcraft patrol rig. That is my field kitchen. Everything that I carried in to cook with and everything. And I'm doing exclusive cooking. I'm cooking everything now. And I've got my 4-liter Hydro Pack systems for my hydration. I have plenty of water here in camp. I had 4 liters of water in water bottles and 8 liters in water there. That should sustain me while I'm here at the camp for the weekend with no problem. But we have plenty of water, at the facility. And this is where all my camp was. That's usually what I take out, all that I take out with my bushcraft patrol rig. Again, I always love using my load cells to hang on the trees. This is all my food stuff. And over here, I have my extra fuel bottles. Now, like I said, I had, used this new adapter for the butane tank. And I had no idea how it was going to work. So I came prepared to have the butane tanks, and I have 2 liters of methylated spirits for my spirit burner, just in case that were to fail. Again, I'm going to talk more about that later. I thought it was going to be a nightmare. By the darker hours of the evening last night, it was taking me a very long time to cook supper, but I figured out what was going on. I'll talk more about that later. But anyway, folks, this is my camp. And it's only about 50 yards away from my vehicle. And this is exactly where John Walsh and I camped last year. And it was a great site. It was pretty far away from all the activities because I go to bed pretty early. And, the folks are still, doing their thing and stuff to pretty late at night. I mean, it's a big deal for them. And when I was younger, I used to do the same thing. But now it gets dark. The eyelids start getting heavy. And I woke up at 4:30 this morning. And so I guess it's early to bed, early to rise. that adage really holds true, especially at this point in my life. Well, let's go ahead and cook some breakfast. The first thing I want to do before I get breakfast started is I wanted to talk about this little adapter. This adapter I saw on Amazon. It was about $8, and I was thinking that since isobutane I think is way overpriced for what it is, there's no possibility of refilling them or anything. I don't really like the environmental impact that those have, not to mention, I mean, when it gets to the point to where they're not usable anymore, there's still fuel in there, and so you have to puncture them where the valve goes in and drain that out before you can put it in any type of refuse, and you can't recycle them because they contain fuel. And I was thinking, well, yeah, that would be a good, responsible, and economic way to be able to do car camping, things like that, with my isobutane stoves. The company is, let's see, get this in focus hopefully. It just came in a simple little package, and like I said, it was around $8. Amazon Prime, I was able to have free shipping with it. I'll go ahead and show you how it goes on the stove adapter and on the butane tank. You put the small isobutane adapter on first, because with this particular stove, it's got a hose connected, so you can't really move this around. If you're using like a pocket rocket or something like that, it very easily, you could go on either way. You probably put your pocket rocket on after you put this on the butane tank. And the butane tank, since you can actually maneuver it and screw it into place with very little effort. There, it's on good and tight. Everything's on good and tight. And you have to set it up right. You have to set it up right. I'll explain more of that in just a second. We're going to start off by making a little coffee before I get cooking. And the way it's set up, it works exactly the way it normally does when you have an isobutane tank on it. You just go ahead and use your... There we go. It's rolling pretty nice. Now, I mentioned that you have to have this setting upright. Last night, when I was trying to cook supper, just for ease of space, whatever, I laid the bottle on its side. And I thought that it was just a piece of junk because the jets would just sputter, and every once in a while they'd flare up. And when I would turn the adjustments to where the flame would be higher, it would just turn into this roaring inferno. And it's not too far away from my tarp. And I was like, no. So I turned it completely off, and it gradually burned down. And so it took forever to cook supper because it was pretty much on the lowest setting you could put it on. So just for... I forget why I did it. I think I wanted to move it or something like that. I picked the bottle up and turned it upright. Immediately, the jets started working that we were supposed to, just about the time I was almost finished cooking supper. So the revelation is, if you're going to use this, make certain that your butane bottle is in the upright position. Since I already had one cup of coffee today, it was black, I'm going to go ahead and try one of these 3-in-1s, these Copaco 3-in-1 coffees. I saw that Wendell Adams got some of these a while back from eBay, so I went ahead and followed suit. And there's a lot of different varieties, and they're all really good. And you'll get a chance to meet Wendell here in a little bit. I'm going to interview him. And he's here this weekend and has some fine fellows camping with him. And he apparently got the idea for the Copaco from Dave Canterbury. And I saw that on a very recent video that he posted when he was stealth camping. Today's breakfast is the classic bacon and eggs. Bacon done to crispy perfection. Look at that. Oh, it's so delicious. Okay. Eggs are done. Now for a little flatbread. And this is breakfast. Flatbread, aka naan, a fried hard egg, and 2 slices of bacon make the perfect breakfast wrap. Delicious. Well, folks, it's about 5 after 10 a.m. and I'm just walking into the very outskirts of the gathering, and this is what it looks like. This is the main lodge. This is where all the major events occur. And also, if there's any information you need, that will be where you find it. Now, they've got a class going on right now, so we'll sneak by there here in just a minute. I'm going to take a walk down through Settler Row, or Vendor Row, and just to get an idea of what they have to offer, and maybe if a couple of the vendors are amiable, we'll go ahead and take a look inside their shop. Let's see what's going on. I might even see what class is being taught right now. Usually they have a bulletin board up with all the times of the events, and whenever it's time for an event to change, they sound an air horn, so that way everyone has an idea of when it's time to go where.
That's awesome. That's a cute mug. Yep. Mini camp mug? Yep, that's the camp. That's the camp mug? Yep. I know those too. I was over looking at the homestead leather guy over there. Yeah.
I'm trying to be really quiet so I don't interrupt or distract from the classes.
What's going on, man?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Nice to see you again.
Good seeing you. How you been?
Pretty good.
So what you're telling me the guy who married your kid's sister is the same guy that some 4-4 extra not leaving you good husband. You can't leave your wife.
There are quite a few more vendors here this year than there were last year. Quite a few. Let's sneak around and look at this side. Go on, Jamie. If I had money, I'd be buying me some of the Tough Possum stuff. This stuff is primo.
Traffic, don't I want to go coyotes there and the dirt set trap. If you could actually buy you 6 of these, go craft. But go to the library. Everybody's carrying computers on the top.
Okay, that's the quick walkthrough through the vendor area, and I'm going to go ahead and see about arranging a couple of the interviews, and then I will be back. Well, I did locate the bulletin board. Hopefully not going to too much of a reflection.
We can move it.
No, that's okay. I think we're good. Thank you. Yeah, that right there, those are today's activities. There'll be a new posting tomorrow. A lot of good stuff. And the thing is I loved about it is the variety of things that are going on here. I'm going to take you a walk through the camps. And I'm not going to be too invasive, but pretty much whatever I can see from the trail, I'm going to try to share with you. And just let you see, I have no idea how many acres are out here. It's absolutely humongous. I did a lot of hiking last year when I came through, and tons of woodland. Absolutely gorgeous woodland. So we're going to walk on down the Prayer Trail. But just about any variety of camp you can imagine is here. You have hammock camps, tent camps, teepee tent camps, tarp camps. And it's, look at, just piles and piles and piles of pre-cut firewood for whoever needs it. Now, where do you go to an event and get that? Usually you go to an event and you have to pay for firewood. And just and in the evenings you come through here, everyone's got their fire, and you smell all the different kinds of food that's being prepared, hear the different types of conversation. It's awesome. Absolutely awesome. And again, yeah, I'm not going to be invasive. I'm not going to get in anyone's stuff or break the threshold of their camp. But I just wanted to show you guys all the variety that's here. Just some really awesome folks too. It's an absolutely beautiful area, and a nice variety in terrain too. There's a couple deep ravines with rocky creeks in them. All variety of woodland, deciduous and evergreen. It's awesome. Oh, classic. There's some hardcore dedicated hammock campers in this section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then of course, you know, you have and the open areas. You have folks that are, you know, traditional tent camping, and there are some vehicles that have tents on them, things like that. It's so awesome to see so many people out here doing what they enjoy doing. And a lot of them have been here since Thursday morning. This is Saturday morning. I couldn't get here until late afternoon yesterday. By the time I set up camp and the time that I tracked down a couple folks I wanted to say hello to, it was already getting dark. And then I had my near fiasco with preparing supper, and but I won't have that tonight. Figured out that problem. But anyway, this is it. I'm going to put this away and do some meandering and some talking with some folks, and then I will bring you back. So far I've had a fantastic morning. Did a little bit of shooting, visited with a lot of folks I met last year, set up a few interviews I want to do this afternoon, and it's such an absolute blessing to be able to interact with like-minded people, good people, and talk about bushcrafting, talk about survival skills, talk about new pieces of kit, talk about wild camping, their camps, their camp equipment, things like that. You know, share stories of faith. It's just this type of thing just doesn't happen nearly enough for me. You know, I enjoy my solitude and my bushcrafting and wild camping and my hiking and exploring. I enjoy doing these videos, but when you do all those things and you're so separated, you sort of forget that we're a community, and this is one of those rare places that I can come to and feel completely at home with the people that are here. It's absolutely wonderful. Just wanted to throw out that a little bit, and just to let you know how blessed I feel today and how thankful I am that this event is going on. And I sincerely hope that some of you next year will be able to attend this event and be able to experience this for yourself. It's been a wonderful day. Absolutely wonderful people, and some of those folks you're going to be able to meet via interviews with a little bit later. I'm going to head and fix myself up some grits for some lunch and get some carbs in me and another cup of coffee, and I'll be ready for the afternoon.
I'm going to take it and put it somewhere safe.
Thank you very much.
Like I said, it might be 3 or 4 weeks. I've got 2 or 3 still hitting it.
Yeah, that's good. I'll have it before Christmas.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No, he's gonna make it interactive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna do it myself, but then he's willing to do it for me and was willing to do it for a trade. So I'm like, that's labor. I don't like to fool's clothes. Interaction clothes. You get your, like when he was just
Recess.
Hey folks, I have with me Caleb Thompson, and he is the man that has brought all this together. All his hard work, effort, and connections with people have made this event absolutely, for this is the 4th year in a row.
Yep.
And it's just absolutely fantastic. I wanted for you to see him and for him to go ahead and explain how all this came to be, because I heard the story last year and it was sort of like, that is so cool how a group of friends coming together and enjoying themselves has turned into something to where it is a community of learning, it is a community of sharing, it is a community of doing. And it touched my heart hearing the story, and I just wanted to ask Caleb to share this story with you.
All right, well that's high praise, my friend. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, so the Central Ohio Bushcraft Gathering has fairly humble origin story, as a lot of grand things tend to do. Our first year we had 8 attendees, and we all ended up huddled in one of the lodges a little further up the hill because it was cold and wet and drizzly. Nobody wanted to be out in it. Somebody went and ordered pizza, so someone brought pizza in, and we spent half of the quote-unquote gathering in the lodge eating pizza and just cutting up and having a good time. Kirkmont originally, the facility that we're at, had expressed interest in having a bushcraft gathering once I had told them about it and told them what it was. So they asked if I could do one, and that was the result of my first attempt. I reached out to some friends of mine that are more, they're veterans of other events and stuff, because until I started this, I've never been to a gathering of any kind. Never been to a Pathfinder or any of the others that are out there, unfortunately. I'm hoping to change that in the future, but we'll get there. So I reached out to them for some tips and pointers, and hey, would you guys like to be involved? Would you like to come and help out? And they said yeah. Gave me some really helpful information, and they continue to do so each and every year, which is why we continue to grow. But from that one little 8-person event for the weekend, the very next year, our attendance went from 8 to around 40. So we we more than doubled our attendance for that year, and every year since then we've consistently doubled our attendance. So we went from 8 to 40 to around 100. This year I'm expecting all said and done to be around the 200 mark.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, this is one of those events that it's so rare because the big thing I love about it, it's family friendly. You see families every place, all over the property with their camps and things like that. And from children all the way to senior citizens, they're coming to the classes, they're learning, and in conversations, they're contributing from their own personal experience. Whatever you can't get from the classes here, if you walk around and you talk with people, you're probably going to enhance that education probably by double at least, from all of the years of experience of people that have done and continue to do, that come here and enjoy the camaraderie of this community. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And another one of the things that I find really precious about this event is the complete and utter lack of egos and attitudes. I've been to a lot of events over the years of many different types, and I don't see that here, and I absolutely love that, and that's why I'm going to be coming back every single year, because the staff is incredibly knowledgeable, incredibly skilled, incredibly experienced, and most of all, incredibly humble, and that goes a long way with me. So, Caleb, I want to thank you for doing this. I want to thank you so much for sharing with the viewers the humble beginnings of this great event, and I sincerely hope that if you're watching this, that you plan on coming next year to the 5th annual Central Ohio Bushcraft Gathering.
Absolutely. Come one, come all. 5-year anniversary. We're going to plan some big and special stuff, and we would absolutely love to see any and all of you here. And good sir, that was high praise indeed. Thank you.
It's well earned. Thanks again.
No problem at all.
Caleb. God bless you.
You too, buddy. You too.
What is?
But we want to try and keep the rigidity of the piece. So, what I want to do is, I want to first okay, so what I want to do is keeping the pattern side up. I'm going to take a little bit of water. And then you would actually cut, you would always keep this at the edge.
Howdy folks, I have Jayberry Miller here from Tuff Possum Gear, and he was here last year. I got to see a lot of his stuff then, and so he's obviously liked the event enough last year to come this year. So Jayberry, you are an Ohio company?
Yes, based out of Mount Vernon, Ohio.
Mount Vernon, okay,
Yes,
that's
indeed.
up in the upper eastern side?
About an hour and a half east of here, so about an hour east of Columbus. Yeah.
Okay, great. And what brought you here last year?
What brought me here last year? Hanging out with some of these dudes, really. Last year, I didn't attend as a vendor, and just hanging out, and figured to set up vendorship this year, and so yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Friends with some of these guys from Facebook and Instagram, that kind of thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I saw a couple familiar faces here. Last year's the first year I came in. Was,
Okay, right on.
not really, I wasn't coming with any expectations, but when I left,
Yeah.
I left with a great feeling about it.
Yes.
So I was really
a lot
glad
of
to
good
see
connections
you.
here.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I also noticed about, we doubled the amount of vendors from last year.
Yes.
And I was talking with Caleb, and he said that he's looking toward the numbers being double as far as participation from what it was last year.
Awesome.
So hopefully the word gets out. You guys see this. This will be something you will want to come to as well. And if you're not familiar with Jayberry's Gear here with Tough Possum. Why don't you go ahead and tell them a little bit about your gear, and we can go ahead and sign off.
My elevator pitch is possums have pouches and people need them too. So started out making pouches, we've expanded into satchel, survival scarves, and just some stuff like that. Med pouch, I'm all about preparedness, about carrying stuff, about having what you need when you need it, especially for people who go places and do things.
Yes.
That's essentially what we are. We're looking to expand, maybe some knives, maybe some stuff like that in the future here. So yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, I've been very impressed with your gear, so
I appreciate it.
I wish you all the continued success, and look forward to seeing you here next year.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Jayberry.
Thank you. Pleasure meeting you.
Well, folks, the evening's activities have begun. They just finished up the slingshot competition. We have live music going on, and we're doing a trade blanket and a silent auction. And the camp is abuzz. Howdy, folks. I'm here with Jason Jasulevich from Element Bushcraft. I met him last year while he was doing his instruction and things like that. I really wasn't aware of it at the time, but we followed each other on Instagram, and it's just awesome to actually see people in the flesh that you only see usually in pictures on electronic format. And I was so impressed with everything that went on last year. I asked Jason if he'd be willing to do an interview with me, and we've got a few questions here, and he's going to answer them for you and get you to know him a little bit, and also we'll wrap it up with, you know, his feelings toward the event in general. Okay, first of all, what's your favorite childhood outdoors memory?
My favorite childhood outdoors memory would be stamping through the hills of Pennsylvania with my dad and my grandfather. Every time we go to visit my grandparents, we used to go to the camp, and at the camp they had some property and there was a house there, but there was no running water. There was, I think there was electricity, but like heat came out, it was like kerosene heater, and it was like a big operation. But we go to the woods and it felt so awesome to me. There was, we could ride the tractor, and there was a couple motorcycles around, and tromping through the hills and looking at everything. And I remember there was a big chunk of pine forest. I always think pine forests are so magical. And it was just pine trees and ferns. And it was just like, it was just the most beautiful landscape. And I just remember that going up in the hills where it's hot and sunny wasn't like my favorite part of it. And my dad made me pay for it. He's, yeah, you bring anything you want. And I always have my woods bag. It was like a backpack full of like cap guns and handcuffs and all those things that a kid needs to like think he's having a good time. And it probably weighed about 15 pounds. And I was like 7 or 8 years old. And it was great when I was in the woods, but then I get up on top, I didn't have water, I didn't have matches or anything like that. I might have had a pocket knife in there, but it was like a bunch of stuff that, a bunch of goofy stuff that a kid carry around. And my dad's like, you still want to carry that up and around? I'm like, no, I'm never doing this again. Lesson learned.
Yes, absolutely. Valuable lesson learned.
Yeah.
Okay, what is your favorite outdoors discipline?
My favorite outdoors discipline is definitely firecraft. It's probably most people's favorite. It's just something really magical about blowing an ember into a flame with a bird's nest that you picked off the landscape. I enjoy different types of fire starters. So I've tried anything I've seen that looked like it was something that I thought would be valuable, or like a maybe possibly valuable. I've purchased dozens of different people's fire contraptions. Some of them work out surprisingly well, some of them don't. The titanium rod that you strike against a piece of granite is like the weirdest one I think that I own. It takes like a certain kind of technique that's unusual. I'm not very good at it, but I've gotten fire with it, but I just can't foresee myself ever carrying it around. But something like, you know, everybody does the ferro rod. A lot of people like flint and steel, which is really fun. Seeing those sparks come off of the steel from the rock. I'm trying to think what else. Solar is a lot of fun, getting that magnifying glass dialed in on your material and seeing it smoke, and then seeing it start to ember up, and then putting that in your bird's nest and blowing it into flame. Oh, it's magical. The big poof, the plume of smoke right before the flame comes out is like probably the best part.
Gratifying and rewarding.
Indeed.
Okay, here's one that's usually a little sketchy with some folks, especially if they have YouTube channels, things like that. television survival shows. Are they good? Are they bad? What's your thoughts?
I feel that some of the shows are pretty good, but on the whole, most of them are pretty bad. I've seen, they don't show anybody how to do anything a lot of times.
It's true.
On some of the more broadcast wide, like CBS or whatever, the big networks, they have people trying to use fire steel and they don't know how to use it. They don't know what end to hold it. They don't know if they should be like chipping on it or scraping it or tapping on it. They don't have any clue, and it makes it, when they do get the spark, it's good for them, but they probably did it in such a terrible way that they were just so lucky to get it. It's like, it took me 3 hours to get this thing to spark, and it's like, and we're all of us that are in the community are like, no, you're holding it wrong, you're doing it wrong, this would have taken us 35 seconds. And yeah, so that stuff's bad. Some of the shows that I do like, I really like Alone. It's, and I don't really consider it to be a show on woodland survival. I consider it to be a show about the dynamics of being alone, because a lot of those people are very talented, and I have family members that are like, hey, how come you're not on that Alone show? And I always tell them I just couldn't be away from my family.
Right.
I'd be the guy that'd be like, I'd be so torn up that I'd have to come home in a week or two if I, just being out there. I'm a social creature. I don't like a lot of people, but I like all the people in this community, and I like my family. Les Stroud, Survivor Man, big fan of his. He started getting a little strange towards the end of his series, but I like watching his stuff, especially now he's doing retrospectives on all his stuff on YouTube. So you can watch every episode he shot for network. He's redone it where he sits behind the camera or behind the screen and talks about the nuances, and that as a survival aficionado really jazzes me up, because you don't see everything. And then you get the behind the scenes. Oh, it's awesome. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, through the camera work and editing, a lot of things are completely lost. That something like that, he could definitely fill in the blanks, and that's awesome.
36 hours of film gets turned into like 40 seconds. 40 seconds on screen. Yeah.
Okay, what is your favorite camp setup?
My favorite camp setup is definitely a hammock hang. I have been using hammocks for probably over 10 years, and I didn't know what I was doing at first, and maybe I still don't, but a hammock is definitely my favorite way. Most comfortable way. Sometimes I tell people it's more comfortable in my bed at home. So I keep trying to talk my wife into the 2 hammocks in the bedroom, but she's just not into it. So yeah, the hammock setup, typically in like a traditional like A-frame, or I'll wait for them to go by. Or something a little different. If it's hot, I like to have it opened up. If it's raining and inclement, I like to bring it down. If there's snow on the ground, like a huge tarp that I can go all the way down to the ground and basically make my own tent out of a tarp, and kind of like fold the doors in and put some bungee cords on the sides. Yeah. So other than that, I don't mind like doing like a canvas tarp and like kind of like a open modified, or like a plow point or something like that. If I'm just going out for the day, or maybe I need to get out of the rain, but that's not my choice.
Right.
That's a situational. I wouldn't want to sleep like that if I had a choice.
No, I'm with you. The hammock setup has definitely been my most favorite.
The most comfortable air mattress for one person that's not like your Walmart 8-inch thick, I've never found comfortable.
No.
Hurts my hips, hurts my knees, hurts my feet.
And they're uncomfortable, and they're expensive. They are expensive. If you got like the Craftmatic adjustable inflatable air mattress, it would be so expensive. It would be, out of the reach of most campers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Now, what would be good recommendations for resources for someone that's beginning and wanting to get into bushcrafting or wild camp?
That's a great question. So my experience getting into bushcraft, before I knew what bushcraft was, was I was exposed to a bushcraft gathering, a survival and bushcraft gathering. And I got to walk around and soak up every little piece of knowledge that everybody was sharing with each other. And I didn't have a lot to say. I didn't have a lot of experience, but I just soaked everything up. I went to every class. I furiously wrote notes because I had no idea what anybody was talking about. I'm like, what's a cross-cut saw? What's a this? What's a that? I wrote everything down, and I came home and Googled everything and learned about it. And then the next year I went back again and I wrote down less. And I went back again and I wrote down less because my knowledge was being stored in here.
Yeah.
And there were things that I was hearing that I probably didn't hear the first time, or I just didn't understand, that kind of were over my head. And then the more I hung out with people and just chatted with them, people telling me how they do their deer hunting, people tell me how they call in turkeys, people are telling me how they cook a certain kind of meal, people are telling me how they light a certain kind of fire. It was amazing. And then the vendors have all these unique products. You can get things in your hand that you've only seen and you don't know how they're gonna work. And you can pick one up and go, oh, wow, I get this. It's gonna be great. Or you can go, oh, wow, I can't believe I thought this was gonna be great and I don't like it at all. So that's great. And then a lot of times there's like these survival challenges where it's like a pressure challenge. You have to do something in a certain amount of time or a certain way. And I tried, every year I went, I tried, and I wasn't completing all the challenges. I failed a lot, but I'll tell you what, I failed and failed and failed, and then I started winning. And I brought all the knowledge from all the gatherings that I attended. We bring here to our gathering, and I love sharing with new people. I did an impromptu fire class today.
Oh, great.
I did a 45-minute fire class down at the fire pit with some youths that were here. There was like a youth organization, sort of like a Boy Scouts. They were here and they said, hey, we missed yesterday's fire presentation. Do you know anybody that, and I go, you know what? Let's just check out what I have on me and I'll talk about everything if you guys have any questions. And I showed them like 5 different ways to light a fire, like from my pocket, and it was so cool. It was a lot of fun.
Well, that's fantastic, and that's another thing too. You just and praise and thanks for the staff that runs this thing. I've been to a lot of gatherings, events, and things like that. That wouldn't have happened. That wouldn't. If you missed the class, you missed the class. But that's absolutely fantastic.
It was, yeah, it was cool. It was like, I was like, I got this.
Yes.
I felt really good about it.
And I guarantee you made those youths' day.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope so. They compete in our challenges and they walk home with prizes too. So
that's great.
Yeah, they had a lot of fun.
Super.
Anything else?
Okay, well, last one.
Okay.
Your favorite aspect of this gathering?
My favorite aspect of this gathering, and I'll say it would be my favorite aspect of any gathering that I want to attend or do attend regularly, it's the brotherhood. It's the camaraderie. It's the sitting around the campfire, telling the stories from, and there's some characters here. There's some characters.
Yes,
there's some people here that could talk to you all day long, through the night, pick the conversation back up in the morning, and they might be telling, they might have telling yarns and tales, or spinning truth, or they're telling you all kinds of crazy stories about how they used to be like an Alaskan bush pilot 35 years ago. I mean, like, the stories are incredible.
Yes.
And there's so many people here that are like people I like to be around.
Exactly.
And I look for that in any gathering I go to. If I went to a gathering and I didn't feel like I was surrounded by people that felt like me, acted like me, wanted to learn the same things I wanted to learn, I probably wouldn't go back. Fortunately, I can say that's only happened to me once.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, the sense of community here is just absolutely wonderful. And you can spark up a conversation with literally anyone.
Anyone.
Yeah, you walk up and say, oh, where'd you get that bag? Boom, there you go. A half an hour, 45 minutes later, you know, you're off in some other direction, and you may or may not wrap it up then. It could go on longer.
There's probably a dozen to 2 dozen people here that do regular YouTube channels. A lot of guys that are doing Instagram. I mean, if you follow these people on Instagram and you come to a gathering and you're surrounded by them, it's amazing. it's just like it's the coolest thing. I've been following this guy for probably close to 3 years, I'd say, on Instagram. I didn't even know he had like other because you have a different handle, I think.
Yes, yeah.
On YouTube. I didn't know he was doing YouTube, and I think he did you might have mentioned your YouTube or something like that, or I started talking to him on Facebook or something like that, and I got over to his YouTube and I was like, oh man, this is great. And I was like, this guy's a real character.
You know what he's talking about.
His character doesn't come out on Instagram. You gotta watch the YouTube videos.
Oh,
it's been great.
Yes, it has. I've enjoyed it this year. I can't wait for next year. And thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to the viewers and things like that. And please, this is barely scratching the surface. All the stuff I'm showing you is just barely scratching the surface of what you can experience here. So please, look at your calendars next October time. I don't know exactly what it is, but as soon as I find out the date, I will be adding that on one of my videos, and we'll do another promo. Just a reminder. So
we should know by the end of the month.
Yeah. Oh, great.
When our date will be for next year. It'll be October. It'll be in October, somewhere around this weekend.
As soon as I find out the date,
yeah,
I will mention it in the comments, or I will mention it on the descriptions and verbally on whatever video that happens to be. Thanks again, Jason.
Yeah, thank you.
God bless
it's been great. God bless you as well.
Thanks.
That was great.
Good morning, folks. Woke up 4 a.m. tried to get back to sleep, laid there for a while, and finally I got up. It was probably a little before 6. I finally got out of my cot, my wonderful glamping facility, and just sit around, had a couple cups of coffee, and just going to wait till the sun came up good for me to start making breakfast. I did a few things around camp, and it sounds like it's starting to drizzle. I don't know if it's going to come a full-on rain or not, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get myself some breakfast and pull everything up underneath the tarp just in case it does come down, and that way I'll have a good dry spot to be able to pack up my kit and take her on home. We'll see you in a few. Folks, this is my camp. It's not quite as camouflaged as what I normally make it, because the leaves are starting to fall, and I would say by the end of the day, this small little bit of an area that's still exposed dirt is going to be covered up. So practicing the leave no trace rule, and especially for this place, is such a wonderful place. You should always respect the earth, but when you have an entity like Kirkmont Center that has opened their doors and their forests to so many people, it's only common courtesy to make certain that you try to leave the area better than you found it. I didn't get a chance to interview Wendell Adams, and I'm going to go ahead and head back into the main area and see if there's anyone left. It looks like most everyone's already gone, and if by any chance he's there, hopefully I'll be able to get a chance to interview him, and if not, well, I'll be signing off and headed home. We'll see you in a few. Well, folks, I missed my opportunity, but that's okay. One of the biggest challenges I had about doing the filming and stuff this weekend is I didn't want to be intrusive, and people are chilling out, they're having their good time. They're conducting business, they're teaching classes, and all these other things. And my goal was to try to get enough footage to share with you my general thoughts and ideas about this, let you get a chance to meet some of the people that put this thing on, that are here every year, that really make this event absolutely wonderful. And I did not want to be in the way. I didn't want to be a bother to anyone while I was doing this. So that was one of the biggest challenges, and I was sort of surprised on the competition to do interviews and things like that. Unfortunately, completely unbeknownst to me, I believe I stepped on somebody's toes, and they gave me a really awful look. Oh well, what can I say? The people weren't wearing a sign that says, "Don't talk to me, I'm going to be interviewed in 5 minutes." So, but that's okay. That's okay. It's been a fantastic weekend. I wish it could have been longer. I was blessed to have the time I had, and just a reminder that I'm going to let you know as soon as I get the dates for next year's event. If there's any way possible that you're in the area and you'd like to check it out, I think it would be worth your while. Great camping opportunities, great people, great activities, a great facility, great vendors, great instructors, just 100% great people. And that's really the thing I want you to take away from this video, is the quality of people that attend this event. And that's what I gathered last year, and that's why I'm back this year, and that's why I'm making this video, so more people can find out about a very good thing. Well folks, as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.